Hey everybody, how you doing today? It's Kelly, pastor, police chaplain, marriage coach who helps couples and individuals have the lifelong marriage that they really want, and author of the book Turn It Up: How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. And I'm here today, and here's today's topic. I'm very excited about it. This is a question and a topic for all the gentlemen in the audience. If you're married, if you're a husband, and then, of course, if you're dating someone. So, gentlemen, do you know how to make your wife or girlfriend feel special? Okay, so do you know that that's what they really want? Okay, of everything that a woman wants, I think it all goes back to I want to feel special. Now, she wants to feel special, by the way, to you. Okay, she wants to know that in your mind and in your heart, she is the most important person in your world. Okay, she wants to know that that she is special to you. Okay, so definitely, if you're married, that's exactly how God wants your marriages to work and to grow. And so there is a really interesting Bible verse, and this is going to be a two-part video because I want to address one part of this today, talking to husbands, and then next week we're going to talk to wives. But in Ephesians 5:33, the Apostle Paul writes these words. He says, however, and he's talking to the men, each one of you must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So what's going on there is two different things are kind of being contrasted. And the first thing he's saying, husbands, love your wives. And then wives, respect your husband, which we're going to talk about how to do next week. But today, what I want to do, guys, is give you 7 ways that you can make your wife feel special. And yes, if you're not married, most of this will apply to you. If you're in a committed relationship with a woman, of course, then a lot of this will apply to you as you're building your relationship and hopefully heading towards marriage. But absolutely, guys, this is all about how do we make our wives feel special? Because see, what happens, just like drifting apart happens in a marriage where a couple starts going 2 different directions, the other thing that happens that's very common is that husbands, we tend to forget and to stop prioritizing our marriage, and we don't really forget about our wives, but there is a tendency, and I've noticed it in my own heart, to take our wives for granted. In other words, they're just part of life, and yeah, we love them, we care for them, we're grateful for them, but we don't express it, and we don't go out of our way to make them feel special. So here's how I learned this. It was probably about maybe 7 years into my marriage. By the way, my wife and I are going to be celebrating 35 years this year. So we obviously have learned a few things over the way, but when we were about 7 years into this thing, one day she had a conversation with me, and I'm so grateful she did. My wife said, I need to let you know that I don't feel special to you. And I went, really? Well, I love you. And then I started telling her, get this, I started telling her all of the stuff that I did for her. Like I take out the trash and I do the dishes and I help with the kids and I go to my job and I work really hard to pay the bills and, all of this stuff. And she goes, yes, that's great. I appreciate that. But I want something more. I want to feel special. And so I said, well, what do you mean by that? And she goes, well, I just want to know that you're thinking about me. I just want to know that I'm the most important person in your world. And next to my relationship with God, without a doubt, the most important relationship I have in my life is with my wife. And it was so at the time, but I wasn't showing that to her. I wasn't demonstrating it. I was just, and maybe in some ways I had allowed that prioritization of my marriage and of my wife to slip a little bit, because what happens is that other things, guys, compete for our attention. Come on, let's be honest. It's probably your job. That's probably the number one thing that gets our attention away from our wives and our family, is that we fall in love with our job, or we just focus on our job in order to, keep it. I mean, there's so much coming at you, so much that you got to do. Some of us are blessed enough to have a job where it's like, okay, I punch in at this time and I leave at this time and I don't have anything to take home with me. But a lot of us have jobs where we're constant. I mean, being a pastor, if you're not aware, this is kind of a 24/7 deal, that people can call anytime, and they do, of the day or night. I need this, I need that. Can you help me with this? Can I have some prayer? There's all the projects that I'm doing at church, all of the different, back in the day was doing mission trips and these major, major outreach events. And so I was just consumed, and my focus was on serving God and my ministry, or in other words, doing my job as a pastor. The other things that can get our attention away from our wives and families, though, guys, is our hobbies. Yeah, you get excited about playing golf or going bowling or going, I don't know. I talked to a guy the other day. He was out with his buddies. They were at a shooting range, and so he's excited about the new gun that he bought and, going to go take that shooting. And, or, maybe it's dirt bike riding or whatever it might be. There's these hobbies or toys that we have that sometimes we get excited about and begin to neglect our wives and then our kids. And so your wife is not going to feel special. Sometimes it's our other friendships. Okay. And these are healthy friendships. There's nothing inappropriate going wrong, nothing bad with them. But if you're looking forward to spending the weekend with your buddies, okay, whatever you and your friends do, and not really being home or being with your wife, then that means that something's kind of out of order. So I want to give you 7 ways to help your wife feel special, because really the bottom line is that they want to feel loved, and that's the way the Bible puts it in that that verse that I gave you a few moments ago. Husbands, love your wives. Your wife wants to feel loved. She wants to feel special to you. And like I said, next week we're going to look at the flip side of that, is what does wives give us as guys, as husbands? They give us respect. And I'm going to talk about that, and I'll do a whole lesson on that next week. So here's 7 ways that you can make your wife feel special. Okay, the number 1 thing is to consistently prioritize your marriage and the relationship you have with your spouse. Consistently prioritize it. That means things like think about it, invest time in it, make it the number 1 thing, and don't do anything that will damage. And a lot of these other 6 points that I'm going to give you are basically expounding on how to do that. But I really want to encourage you to just think of that word priority. And really, when I do marriage coaching, when I ask people all the time, when we get started with coaching and begin to dissect some and solve some of the problems and issues that they're having as a couple, the first question is always, what do you want? Well, I hope you want to have a great marriage. I hope you want to be close to your spouse, to your husband, to your wife. And so, gentlemen, if you want to be close to your wife, the first thing to do is prioritize that relationship. Put some time, put some thought, plan some things. Think about what's missing. Are we close? Have we drifted apart? And if so, don't be a victim that just says, well, there's nothing I can do about it. No, do something and get back on track. But you want to prioritize and value the relationship that you have. And if you're having a hard time with that, if other things in your life are more exciting or more appealing to you, you might want to ask yourself why. What's missing? What's changed in our relationship? And how do I get it back? But that's another conversation perhaps for another day. All right, number 2. There is a great book out called The 5 Love Languages by a guy named Gary Chapman. But here's my suggestion to you. 7 ways how to make your wife feel special. You want to use all 5 love languages, but then center in on the ones that are your wife's. So you want to speak her love language to her by doing the things that she wants, but don't forget the other ones. Do all 5 of them for her. So let me give you the 5 love languages that Dr. Chapman has identified. This is a great book. Highly encourage you to take a look at it. You can find, by the way, they have these tests that like 20 questions or 50 questions or something like that, that you fill out and your wife fills out, and at the end it'll tell you what your love language is. So that's a great resource too. But here are the 5 love languages. The first one, and I don't think these are in any particular order, but one of them is words of affirmation. So we enjoy hearing words of affirmation. Thank you, honey, for being a great husband. Thank you, honey, for being such a great wife and being a great mom for our kids. Thank you. Tell her how much you love her. Tell her how much you appreciate her. Tell her what a great wife she is. That's a great love language. The other one is gifts. By the way, going back to my story, when my wife told me that she didn't feel special, and I asked her, well, what can I do? One of the things that she suggested was a thing called a just because gift. And I went, just because? What's that? I never had that kind of thing growing up in my family. Whenever you got a gift, there was always a reason for it. In other words, it's your birthday, it's Christmas, it's, a Father's Day or something. There's never just a surprise gift because I'm thinking about you and I loved you. And so that's what she said. She said, give me some just because gifts. Now, just because gifts don't have to be expensive. In fact, they're better if they're not. You don't want to blow her away with something extravagant that now she's thinking, oh my goodness, can we afford this? But it's things like buy her a card and then mail it to her work, okay? So that when she's at work, she gets today's mail, she opens it up, and there's this card from you saying, hi, honey, just want to let you know how much I love you. Take pictures of her maybe with your kids and then print them out and put them in an envelope and just say, here, honey, I have something for you. I mean, you can go to some place and print out a picture, and it's like 25 cents. It's super cheap. And just a little something like that is something that she can put up on a bulletin board or post it somewhere. Yeah, it's great that she has it on her phone and you can email it to her or text it to her, but printed pictures are really a cool little thing that you're just kind of a constant reminder. Or put it in a frame. Spend $10, get a nice frame, put a picture in a frame, and do something like that. But just because gifts. The third one is time. So have fun together, spend time with each other, grow in those mutually enjoyed activities, the things you guys enjoy doing together, and put some thought into it. I know when we're on vacation and I just kind of go with the flow, it's like, well, honey, what do you want to do today? That doesn't go over real well. She loves it when I plan, when I read the guidebook, when I figure out when the museum's going to be closed and make sure we make a reservation for when it's going to be open, and then prepare, think about what can I do to make this event or make this day special for my wife, and then present it to her in a really thoughtful manner. The fourth one, according to Dr. Chapman, is touch. And so guys, if you're married, okay, if you're not married, sex is off limits, and I have a whole teaching on why that should be. But if you are married, enjoy physical intimacy together. And maybe that's your wife's love language. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's yours. And if it is yours, don't push sex, but invite her or initiate physical intimacy with her on a regular basis. Hey, hon, let's go let's go hang out, let's go make love, let's go, snuggle, whatever word you want to use for it. But initiating sex, I think, is the man's role in the relationship. But you want to be sensitive to not do it at a time when it's going to be a bother, when it's going to be like, again? Are you kidding me? We just did it yesterday. Let it be kind of, you want to be sensitive to her needs and her energy level too. But initiating it when it's appropriate is a great way. And then just touch in general, giving her a hug when she comes home from work, or when you get up in the morning, giving her a kiss on the cheek, or a quick kiss goodbye before you leave for work, or whatever it might be. The fifth one Dr. Chapman identified as far as the love languages is acts of service. And this is just serving each other and giving and, doing things for each other, making life easier for each other, things around the house, as well as just things that'll make, life better. What can I do for you today? How can I help you in some way? Acts of service. So those are the 5 love languages, and I would encourage you to do all 5, but then also figure out which one or two are really the special ones. For my wife, it's acts of service and time. So I know that when my time is taken up outside of the home, that is going to be a negative. That is not speaking her love language. Her love language is when I am with her all the time. And I love being with her, so that's not a hard one to do. Okay, so those were the first 2, and I know there were 5 parts of that one. But consistently prioritize number 2, speak their love language all the time, and then learn the specific ones. Here's a few other thoughts, 4 or 5 more things. Number 3, according to my list, is do things as a couple, not as an individual. Say, for example, if you guys go to a party, maybe it's your kids or one of your friends or, nephew or niece's birthday party, and you show up. Well, do things together as a couple at the party, especially if your husband or your wife isn't as close to your family as you are. Don't just leave her, but stay with her, stand next to her, be the couple. Even though you've been married for 5 or 10 years, be a couple at these events. Be a couple is all about thinking about we and not me. And here's where it plays out. It's in making decisions and plans together. Was talking to a couple the other day, and they had a little tiff about what time to leave the party because they didn't make a plan. So before you get to the party, decide on what time we're going to leave, and then, let each other know, okay, hey, I'm going to go around and say goodbye to a few folks, and then I'll meet you at the car. Or, let's leave in 15 minutes because I want to go, chat with a couple of people that I haven't talked to yet. But we do need to be on our way. So make a plan and then follow the plan. And then, of course, spending time together, as I already mentioned. That's number 3. Number 4, be supportive. Oh man, this is going to make your wife feel special. Is that when you are supportive of her and seek to understand her. So focus on understanding. So how do you do that? It's 3 ways: listen, empathize, and validate. Okay, giving her one-on-one attention. When she's troubled, when she has a complaint, something that you've done that she didn't like, man, focus in, listen. But don't just listen with an ear towards how do I excuse or explain this or how do I reply, but listen for understanding. And then if she is troubled, empathize with her and validate. And I've got some videos on that you can check out for more information. But that's number 4. Number 5 is be dependable. Another complaint I hear from couples is that my husband promises to do things and then he doesn't do them. So if you want to make her feel special, make a plan, make a promise, and then follow through on the promise. Like, for example, if she asks you to clean up the garage and you say, okay, honey, I'm going to clean the garage, give her a time. Tell her, all right, you know what, this weekend, here's my plan. I'm going to clean up the garage by the end of the weekend. Well, what time is that? Maybe let's say it's 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Hey, by 5 o'clock on Sunday, I want you to come in and take a look at the garage because it's going to be a lot cleaner than it is now. Let me tell you, you do something like that, and you do it as an act of love and an act of service because you love your wife, not just because the garage is a mess and you can't find anything. See, for you, maybe like it is for me, okay, maybe the garage is no big deal because you know where everything is and you can find stuff in there. But maybe for your wife, it is a huge area of frustration and complaint. So as an act of love, honey, I know you've been struggling because the garage is such a mess. I'm going to do something for us, but I want to let you know I'm going to do it because I want to make your life easier. I don't want you to be frustrated when you go in the garage. So by 5 o'clock this Friday, I'm going to have that done. And then do it, okay? Follow through. Be dependable. Be trustworthy. And being trustworthy is all about doing what you say you're going to do. Okay, so if you're going to be home at 5, if you say I'll be home at 5, you better be home at 5 if you want your wife to trust her. If it's not 5, you better call or text her and let her know you're going to be running late. Okay, number 6, share your feelings with her. Now, I know, guys, this is going to be hard, or can be hard for us as guys, because we're not really in tune with our feelings as much as our wives are. But let me tell you what happens when you open up your heart and you share what's inside. You are building an emotional intimacy with your wife. And let me tell you that, excuse me, let me tell you that one of the things that is going to make your wife feel special is that you share things with her that you don't share with anyone else. That you open up and you try to identify, not just tell her what's going on, but you try to identify how it makes you feel, and you share those feelings with her. And you trust her not to judge you, not to try to fix you, but to simply be there with you in these feelings and emotions and process these things with you. So open up, be vulnerable, build emotional intimacy by sharing your feelings. In other words, you want to help her feel close to you. And the way to do that is by opening up your heart to her. And then finally, number 7 of my 7 ways to make your wife feel special is this: protect your relationship from anything that would damage it. So let's be real here, guys. If you want your wife to feel special, okay, it means that she knows that you're not flirting with the girls at work, even in a playful way, even in what you think might be a harmless way. Okay, if it offends her, if it bothers her, guess what? I mean, it is natural for us to compare ourselves with others. You do not want, if you want your wife to feel special, don't ever put her in a place where she feels like she's comparing herself with the people, with the ladies that you work with. But it's also things like pornography, because that's a comparison. If pornography is a struggle for you, get help. Give me a call. I can help you find some resources to get you out of that. And it's groups and different things that will get you back on a road to sexual purity so that you can enjoy not only emotional intimacy, but sexual intimacy with your wife. Once again, make your wife feel special by not getting involved in porn or stopping it if you do. Don't develop emotional intimacy with others, obviously with members of the opposite sex, because any kind of close friendship with others is going to compete. It just will. It will compete with your wife, and you don't want to put her in that place. You want to put her at the on the pedestal. You want her to know that she is the one woman in your life. Now, you have to work around other women. I do, and that's okay. You can have friendships with them, okay? But those relationships are never going to be more important or more special to you than the one you have with your wife. So honor her and just make her feel special by limiting the exposure and involvement with other women, even in an innocent way. Okay. And then here, remember this: the other way to protect your marriage and relationship and to make your wife feel special, one last thought, is that you want to be careful to never betray her. And how do you do that? Let me tell you what I've learned betrayal is. Betrayal is when you put anyone or anything above your wife, above your marriage, okay? Anything or anyone else above your wife or your marriage. What am I talking about? Your hobbies. Like I said earlier, work gets in the way, and you're more concerned about work than you are your wife or her feelings. And obviously balance that out. You want to make sure that you have a good job and you do a good job at your work. But in the same way, what are you dreaming about? What are you thinking about? What are you excited about? And so build the things so that you're excited about coming home from work and spending the evening with your wife. Build, and your weekends are going to be with your wife and your family. And, just protect it from betrayal by allowing anything else to get more, or to be more important than your husband, I mean, than your wife or your family and or your marriage. So these are my 7 thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found this helpful. And I've got a lot more where this comes from. Get a copy of my book, Turn It Up: How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. And that has a lot more information on these kinds of topics in there that I think will really be helpful. If you like this today, though, please comment, like, share, or subscribe, whatever works for the platform that you're on. Let other people know about this ministry. And anyways, let me know how I can help you. So that's it for today. May God bless you, and may God bless your marriage. And gentlemen, may God help you make your wife feel special. That's it for now. I'm Kelly, pastor, police chaplain, marriage coach who helps couples have the lifelong marriage that they want, and the author of the book, Turn It Up: How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. That's it for now. God bless. Bye-bye.